Always
Okay.
cool.
All right. Intro, go.
I don't want to do it. You do it.
Welcome to the Trident Talk. Cue music.
Do we check if that looks good or not?
It probably doesn't, I'll be honest.
Okay.
Oh well.
All right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Trident Talk, or rather this episode of the Trident Talk, where today we're going to follow up from last week's topic, and nice.
Nice.
This week's topic, budgeting and how to create a budget. Mr. Davis.
All right. Well, I mean, so to us, I mean, it seems pretty simple how to make a budget because we've been doing it for
Years and years and
years, ever since we started, I guess, working. But I mean, we kind of wanted to do just a simple approach to it. We call it the 70-20-10 rule.
So the 70-20-10 rule is probably one of the most basic budgeting methods that you'll ever learn about. It's like the stuff they teach in a personal finance class in like a high school, right? So before we get into this, we want to give a quick disclosure. We are not by any stretch of the imagination financial advisors. We don't work for Edward & Jones or any of those other big firms. But we quite literally just know the basics of how to work your money. And as such, that's what we're here to relay to you.
And we know it's kind of an issue. It's an issue in America, so we're trying to help whoever we can.
Trying to educate you.
Yeah, educate. Because we've been doing it for some time, and we've got a grasp of it. So we hope we can kind of help you if you're wanting to look for a budget.
The head motions really sell this.
Yeah,
topic. I hope you know that.
Well, I don't know. It just depends who you are. Some people like budgeting different than we do, but this is just a simple way. We budget a little different than this, but all of us budget different. You'll find your own way, but let's get started of how it is.
This is a good place to start. Ultimately.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the 70-20-10 rule? The 70-20-10 rule is basically how you divide your income across your expenses, your savings, and your investments. So, and it's quite literally in that order. So, of your income, 70% of that should go towards your expenses. This is everything from your mortgage or rent, which it should be a mortgage. You shouldn't have to pay rent. You should be paying a mortgage. This is your car insurance. This is your any monthly bill that you have, pretty much, or bill in general. 20% of your income should be going towards savings. And then the remaining 10 should be going towards your investments. Okay. So
pretty simple.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty down to earth, and I mean we're only at just under 3 minutes, and we figured we didn't want to make a video that was just quite literally us saying three numbers. So we wanted to go ahead and put this into modern terms. So one of the modern legislation and bills that's trying to be passed right now by President Biden is the attempt at a $15 minimum wage. So we wanted to go ahead and take a peek at that and use that for our terms for this example.
Which is a little crazy because I started at Schnucks, and I don't even remember what year was it, like 2015, at $7.65. Like that was minimum wage. Like, and we're only like how many? What did I say? 6 years? I am old. That is a long time ago. It feels like. Let's go on to the example. So going on to the $15 an hour. We're just gonna take a full work week, 40 hours. Full time, so that gets us to exactly $600 a week.
Math works out nice.
But then let's say we put in tax, which we're putting a little bit above.
Yeah.
So
average
10% is what we're going.
Like in the state of Missouri, average like state tax and federal tax, and then like Medicare and all that additional stuff comes out to be like 8.7% or something like that in total, but that varies from state to state. So on average, we're just going to go ahead and take a higher number, and quite honestly, it makes the numbers easier.
Makes it much easier. So we go, so that 600 we got that week, minus the 60 for taxes.
10%.
And then we get 540 net.
Okay.
Essentially.
So per week, you'll be pulling home $540. Now, we weren't thinking about this when we made our example. I know a lot of people are paid bi-weekly as opposed to weekly.
It's okay.
In which case, you would be pulling in $1,080 per paycheck on average.
Which is, so when we're about to show you our calculations here, and when we do, because we're about to multiply 540 by the 0.7 for our expenses, 0.2 for our savings, and 0.1 for our investments. So we're
70-20-10 rule.
Yes, exactly. So those numbers we're going to multiply that by 4 to get our monthly, but you would do times 2 because bi-weekly
It's
would equal
2 bi-weekly
4
periods
weeks.
in a month.
Yeah, so pretty simple math, but we ran the calculations for you guys real quick.
Which are on screen now. Sorry, Josh. So if you look at your total weekly paycheck of $540, and you put 70% of that towards your expenses, so 540 times 0.7, you get
$378 for your expenses.
And if you take 20% of your weekly income and put that towards your savings, that'd be 540 times 0.2, which brings you to
108.
And then if you were to take 10% of that and put that towards investments, that's 540 times 0.1, which gives you
54.
So these are actually, up front, these appear to be pretty small numbers.
Yeah, they're pretty small, but then this is just a week of
This
working.
is in 1 week, okay? So what does this look like if you were to take this into the more common terms that you'll see with your expenses, especially?
Which are usually monthly.
So you're going to take these numbers and you're going to multiply it by 4, because there are 4 weeks in a month. Again, we're going off of weekly paychecks. If you're doing bi-weekly, multiply these by 2. If you're to multiply them by 4, so you're in total for your expenses, if you were to take $378 and multiply it by 4, you would get.
Shoot, I don't know what number you do first. I blanked.
The top number.
The top number, $1,512.
If you were.
I blanked. I don't know what just happened. I didn't even hear any numbers you just said.
Error, gunnar.davis.
Yeah, that was an
is
error.
correct.
I was thinking of different numbers in my head. I don't know why.
On the next number for your savings, the 20%, if you were to take 108 and multiply it by 4, you would have
432.
And then for your final number, your investments, if you take $54 and multiply it by 4, you would have
216.
Awesome. So now we have our monthly numbers. Okay?
Which that's starting to look a little better.
Yeah,
Number-wise, that's looking higher.
Now we're working ourselves into actual manageable numbers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone, the $1 million question is how much do you make in a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in total, if you were to take every bit of money that you have after you take out 10% for taxes, you would total
$25,920, which honestly isn't bad because, I mean, obviously this is trying to get the minimum wage up, but like, what's the average? Like less than 60,000.
The average, I think, right now, as of recent years, is under. It's under 60,000. I think it's pushing like 52,000.
Oh, you think it's like that? I thought it was like a little higher, but I don't know. Then again, I haven't looked at it for some time.
2020 was a weird year. The number,
Yeah,
the actual number's on the screen right now because Josh is coming in clutch right now and pulling up the actual number from Google or something. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
So you have $25,920 after taxes. How does that look when it's divided up? Well, if you're looking at your 70% that's going towards your expenses, you have a grand total of
$18,144 for the year for expenses.
In terms of the 20% that's going to go towards savings,
$5,184 for the year.
And then the total amount that you're actually going to invest in 1 year is going to be
a whopping $2,592.
All right. So now that we have all, which again, this brings us to our grand total of $25,920. Now, we've talked about these numbers. We've thrown out just a bunch of random numbers. We have to ask ourselves now, like, you ever have that teacher in, like, your math classes, like, we have all these numbers now, what do they mean?
What do they mean?
Yeah, that's what we're here for now. We're here to be that annoying teacher, okay?
You know what's funny? I never figured out what they meant.
Yeah.
I just got more numbers and didn't really understand what they meant.
It's like, this number meant this number, but what do the numbers mean? I don't know.
I don't know.
She doesn't know.
It's just I just circle it and move on.
Yeah, exactly. Math. But no, these are numbers that actually have a lot of value and a lot of meaning behind them. So this brings us to the next point of this podcast, and it's Gunnar, go ahead and take the lead on this one, actually.
So, our first reason what these mean, weird way to say it. Oh my gosh, stop cracking that in your mic. So, number one is being above average. Now, when we say that, a little weird just saying that straight off the tongue, but being above average, what we mean is, we talk about it in past episodes, is that in America, it's kind of sad, but most Americans can't afford a surprise expense of $500.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you followed this method and the $15 an hour was what you're being paid. So, and within a month, obviously, of the savings, you're making $432 a month for your savings. So if you can't afford a $500 on average, you would be able to in less than 2 months if you went off this method. Now, that's quite crazy, knowing you would be above average within a 2-month time period. So just remember that. It's unfortunate in America right now that people just can't afford something like that. Like it kind of scares me a little bit, because if I was ever in that situation, it would just be scary. Yeah,
consistently.
I'd just be afraid something's gonna happen, because things happen, cars break
life
down.
happens.
Yeah, just you never know. So
one of the things that's also worth addressing in this case is that this is a very general and a very broad rule. Not everyone's situation is the same. Not everyone has to put 70% of their income towards their expenses. So for instance, in this case, we have monthly expenses totaling up to be $1,512. Well, your total expenses in a month might only be, if you live at home, it could be as low as $700 or less.
Or even less. Yeah.
And you figure, or maybe it's a little bit more, for crying out loud. Maybe you have to put $1,600 towards your expenses. Well, maybe in that case you have to take a little bit out of your. Well, actually, no. In this case, we have actually a phrase that we use for that, and we addressed it in the last episode. It's living beyond your means. Okay. If you're going to follow a budgetary program like this, or process rather, and you have it to where your expenses exceed this amount, you're living beyond your means.
Yep.
So this is where you have to factor in, okay, where am I spending too much money? Is it my rent is too high, or my mortgage? Is it that I'm spending too much on food and like other miscellaneous, what's a good word for it?
Garbage.
There you go. Excellent word.
Miscellaneous garbage.
So definitely make sure you're factoring stuff like that in as you're going through the process, okay? Because, like I said, everyone said you have a thought, and I am.
So I just thought about an Office episode. It's like when Michael's having budget problems, he's like, "Why do you need two?" Oscar says, "Why do you need two magical sets?" I don't even remember what he said he needed them for, but stuff like that, garbage like that. You don't need two magic sets.
Don't be Michael Scott.
You don't even really need one, but
yeah, but
some people just have to have them.
So, and that's, we've talked about everything in terms of being above average and where your numbers lie in relation to this rule. But one thing that's definitely worth addressing is, now that once you get these numbers in order, what's the purpose of these? It's working towards, what you want, your goals. Gunnar, take it away.
So, I mean, I could use this as a personal example. I love cars. That's something I like doing. So when I was younger, I was looking for the car to buy myself, because I was lucky to have my parents buy my first car. But I was looking to buy my first car, so I had to kind of figure out what I was willing to pay, which, I mean, I went a little high, but then again, that's something I work towards. That's something I want to put my effort towards. In which, another way you can kind of look at things is, so you can do these calculations like we did, you make $1,512 a month for your expenses, or you can just look at it how many hours is that going to be for you, which we could do calculations like that all day, and you can do that yourself, but always think, how many hours of my week, month, year am I going to put on this, whatever expense you're doing, like your car. So just when you find your goals, it's important to figure out how you're going to work towards that. So how we have the 7-20-10, let's say when you put 20 in savings, let's say you want to put 30, you take 10 away from your expenses because you can afford it, you put 10 extra in there, so maybe you can afford a car in a year. Something like that. So knowing your goals in the long run will make it easier to pull off the 70-20-10 rule, because people do want to go out and spend the money they have, because that's what you do it for, is just spend it. But some people just spend it like that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it's just make sure you find your goals, because once you find your goals, how would you say it? The finish line. You know where the finish line is. You know where the start is. You just got to follow your rules, and you'll eventually hit the finish line.
Exactly. And that's what we talk about, this finish line. The finish line is different for everyone else, but ultimately, in general, the common factor, the common denominator, I don't know, the common end game for this is following something like this, and eventually maybe growing to a different budget standard, and as opposed to the 70-20-10 rule, you go with a different budgeting process. I don't know, it's ultimately up to you. Make your budget according to you, but try to stick to a nice foundation and then build from that. But ultimately, like I said, the common end game is that you eventually work your way towards financial success, which is the end game goal out of all these podcasts that we've addressed, trying to help you reach that goal, whether it be with your house, with your expenses, with your budget, or with yourself. Okay? And like I said, ultimately, that's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to help you with. And that's pretty much all I've got, actually.
And I mean, I know it's a new year, so everyone's trying to do the New Year resolutions, but I watched a video once, and I know resolutions can be important, but let's kind of go away from those. Let's ditch resolutions and make habits, because habits is what get you places in life. Resolutions, okay, let's say you want to stop drinking soda. Okay, that'll only get you so far in life. But let's say you make it a habit to not drink soda. Then you're going a year, 2 years. Resolutions tend to drop off the first. I think it was like the first month, like higher than 50% tend to drop off the first month, which is just crazy. Habits don't fall off. Habits are long-lasting, not life-lasting. Same point, but still long-lasting. So just try to develop a habit, and the 7-20-10 rule can get you there.
And once you have a habit such as this down, another fantastic habit, because I know it's the scary I word that we use, investing.
Investing.
It's a scary word, but it's one of the best habits that you can have in the modern economy. And that will be actually a very important conversation that we will have. The difference between saving and investing, and why you should do one over the other in specific circumstances. But that is what we will cover next week on the Trident Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Murphy, and I'm joined by
Gunnar.Davis.
And this is the Trident Talk.